When my daughter-in-law told me to leave the house 3 days after we buried my son, I smiled instead of crying. I remember her face when I did that. She looked confused. Maybe she expected me to beg. Maybe she thought I would fall apart right there in the kitchen. But I just picked up my coat from the chair and walked toward the door. My hands were shaking. My heart felt like it was breaking into 1,000 pieces. But I smiled. Because sometimes, when the pain is too big, your face does strange things. Sometimes you smile when you should scream. I had just lost my only child, my beautiful boy, my Daniel. And now I was losing the home we had built together, the home where he grew up, the home where his laughter still echoed in every corner. I remember standing at the front door with my small suitcase. It was raining outside, the kind of soft, steady rain that makes everything look gray and sad. I could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. That old clock that Daniel wound up every Sunday morning. It would stop now. Nobody else would remember to wind it. I turned back one more time. Emma, my daughter-in-law, was standing in the kitchen doorway. Her arms were crossed. Her face was hard. She did not look like the sweet girl who had married my son 6 years ago. She looked like a stranger who wanted me gone. I wanted to ask her why. I wanted to understand what I had done wrong, but my voice would not come out. So I just nodded. I opened the door, and I walked out into the rain. The funeral had been on a Tuesday. It was a cold morning in November. The church was full of people who loved Daniel, friends from work, neighbors, his old college roommates, everyone crying, everyone sharing stories about how kind he was, how funny, how he always made people feel special. I sat in the front row next to Emma. She held my hand during the service. I thought we were sharing our grief. I thought we were holding each other up. I thought we were family. But 3 days later, everything changed. 3 days after we put my son in the ground, Emma asked me to leave. She said she needed space. She said she could not handle having me in the house anymore. She said it was too hard, too painful. She said she needed to figure out her life alone. I did not argue. I was too tired, too broken. Grief does that to you. It takes all your fight away. It makes you quiet and small. I had been living with Daniel and Emma for 2 years, ever since my husband died, ever since I got sick and could not live alone anymore. Daniel insisted I move in. He fixed up the spare bedroom. He painted it my favorite color, soft blue, like the morning sky. He bought new curtains. He made sure I felt at home. He told me every single day that he was glad I was there, and I believed him. I believed I belonged there. But now Daniel was gone, and Emma wanted me gone too. I walked through the rain to the bus stop. I did not have a car anymore. I had sold it when I moved in with them. I did not need it. Daniel always drove me everywhere. The bus came after 20 minutes. I got on with my wet coat and my small suitcase. The driver looked at me with kind eyes. He could probably tell I had been crying. People always know. I found a seat near the back. The bus smelled like wet clothing and old coffee. I watched the houses go by through the foggy window. I thought about where I would go. I had a little bit of money saved. Not much. Maybe enough for a few months in a small apartment. I had one friend who might let me stay for a while. But I felt so ashamed. Ashamed that I had nowhere to go. Ashamed that my own daughter-in-law did not want me. The bus stopped at the town center. I got off and walked to a small cafe. I needed to sit somewhere warm. I needed to think. The cafe was almost empty. Just an old man reading a newspaper and a young couple sharing a muffin. I ordered tea and sat by the window. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Emma. It said, "I called the lawyer. Will reading is next Friday at 10. You should be there. That was it. No sorry, no explanation, just a cold message about the will. I stared at the phone. I wanted to throw it across the room, but instead I just put it back in my purse. I drank my tea slowly. It burned my tongue, but I did not care. Physical pain was easier than the pain in my heart. I thought about Daniel, about the last time we talked. It was the night before the accident. He came home from work tired but happy. He hugged me tight and said, "Mom, I am so lucky to have you here." I remember exactly how his hug felt, strong and warm and safe. I told him I was the lucky one. I told him I loved him, and he said, "I love you more, Mom, always." Those were the last words my son said to me. The next morning, he left for work, and he never came home. A truck ran a red light. Daniel did not have a chance. The police officer who came to the door said he died instantly. He said Daniel did not suffer. But I suffered. Every second since then, I suffered. And now, sitting in that cafe, I felt like I was drowning in my suffering. Let me tell you about Daniel from the beginning. Because to understand this story, you need to know who he was. Daniel was born on a spring morning 28 years ago. The sun was shining through the hospital window. I held him for the first time and felt a love so big it scared me. My husband Robert cried when he saw him. We named him Daniel after Robert's father. Daniel was a calm baby. He hardly ever cried. He would just look at you with those big brown eyes taking everything in. Even as a baby, he seemed wise, like he understood things other people did not. He was special. I knew it from day one, and I was right. Growing up, Daniel was the kind of child every parent dreams of. He was gentle with animals. He shared his toys. He helped old Mrs. Peterson carry her groceries every Saturday. When he was 7, he found a stray cat and begged us to keep it. We said yes. He named it Whiskers. That cat lived with us for 12 years. When Whiskers died, Daniel cried for days. He was 16 then, almost a man, but he cried like a little boy. He buried Whiskers in the backyard under the oak tree. He made a small cross out of wood. He visited that spot every week. That was Daniel. He felt things deeply. He cared about everyone and everything. In high school, Daniel was not the most popular kid. He was not a football star or class president, but everyone liked him. He was the person people came to when they had problems. He would sit and listen for hours. He never judged. He never gossiped. He was just good, purely good. I remember one time a boy at school was being bullied. Daniel stood up for him. He got in trouble for fighting, but he did not regret it. He told me, "Mom, someone had to help him. No one else would." That was my son, always thinking about others first. He went to college and studied business. He wanted to start his own company someday, help small businesses grow. He worked hard. He graduated with honors. He got a good job at a consulting firm in the city. He saved money. He bought a small house in a nice neighborhood. He was building a life. And then he met Emma. It was at a coffee shop near his office. She was a waitress there, working part-time while she took art classes. Daniel came home one day with stars in his eyes. He told me, "Mom, I met someone. She is amazing." I was happy for him. So happy. Emma seemed perfect at first. She was pretty, with long red hair and green eyes. She was shy but sweet. She laughed at Daniel's jokes. She held his hand in public. When Daniel brought her home to meet us, she brought flowers for me and a bottle of wine for Robert. She was polite. She asked questions about our lives. She seemed genuinely interested. Robert whispered to me that night, "She is a keeper." I agreed. I thought Daniel had found his person. I thought she would love him the way he deserved to be loved. And for a while, it seemed like she did. They dated for 2 years before Daniel proposed. He planned it perfectly. He took her to the beach at sunset. He got down on one knee in the sand. She said yes. I cried when he called to tell me. Happy tears. He sounded so excited, so full of hope. The wedding was small but beautiful, just close family and friends. Emma wore a simple white dress. Daniel wore his father's tie. They said their vows under an arch of flowers. They promised to love each other forever, through good times and bad, in sickness and in health. I believed those promises. I thought they were real. I thought forever meant forever. Robert got sick 6 months after the wedding. Cancer. It was fast and brutal. Within a year, he was gone. I felt like half of me died with him. Robert and I had been married for 32 years. We grew up together. We built a life together. We raised Daniel together. And suddenly, I was alone. I tried to stay in our house, but it was too big, too empty, too full of memories. I would walk past Robert's chair and expect to see him there. I would set 2 plates for dinner and then remember. The grief was suffocating. I got depressed. I stopped taking care of myself. I lost weight. I stopped sleeping. Daniel noticed. He was worried about me. One day, Daniel showed up at my door with boxes. He said, "Mom, you are coming to live with us. I already talked to Emma. She agrees. We have that spare room. We will fix it up nice for you. You should not be alone right now," I protested. I did not want to be a burden, but Daniel insisted. He said, "You took care of me my whole life. Now it is my turn to take care of you. Please, Mom, let me do this." So I agreed. I packed up my things. I said goodbye to the house where I had spent most of my adult life, and I moved into Daniel and Emma's home. At first, it was good. Emma seemed happy to have me there. She would ask me to help with cooking. We would watch movies together on Friday nights. She called me Mom. She hugged me when I cried about Robert. She seemed to understand my pain. Daniel was relieved. He told me he felt better knowing I was not alone. He would come home from work and find Emma and me laughing in the kitchen. He would smile this big, beautiful smile. He would say, "My 2 favorite women getting along. I am the luckiest man alive." And I thought he was right. I thought we were a happy family. I thought Emma and I were building something real, a real relationship, a real bond. But slowly, things started to change. Small things at first. Emma would forget to tell me when they were going out. I would make dinner and then find out they already ate. She stopped asking for my help in the kitchen. She started closing her bedroom door more often. I would hear them talking in low voices. When I came into a room, they would stop talking and smile. But the smiles felt forced, fake. I started to feel like I was in the way, like I was an intruder in their home. But I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself it was just my grief making me sensitive. I told myself they still wanted me there. Daniel never made me feel unwanted. He was always kind, always caring. He would check on me every morning before work. "How did you sleep, Mom? Do you need anything?" He would bring me coffee in bed sometimes. He would sit with me when I cried. He would show me pictures of Robert and share memories. He kept me alive during those dark days. He was my light, my reason to keep going. I lived for his smile, for his hugs, for the way he said, "I love you, Mom," every single day. I never imagined I would lose him. You never think about losing your children. It is not supposed to happen that way. Parents are supposed to die first. That is the natural order. But life does not always follow the natural order. The accident happened on a Wednesday, a normal Wednesday. Daniel left for work at 7:30 in the morning. He kissed Emma goodbye. He hugged me and said, "See you tonight, Mom. Maybe we can watch that show you like." I said, "Okay." I said, "Be safe." I said, "I love you." and he left. At 10:15, there was a knock on the door. I answered it. 2 police officers stood there with sad faces. They asked if they could come in. They asked me to sit down. And then they told me. They told me my son was dead. They told me there was an accident. They said he died instantly. They said he did not feel any pain. But their words did not make sense. I kept asking them to repeat it. I kept saying, no, no, you must be wrong. Not my Daniel. Please, not my boy. Emma screamed when she heard. She collapsed on the floor. She sobbed so hard she could not breathe. I wanted to comfort her, but I could not move. I just sat there frozen, numb, empty. The police stayed for a while. They answered questions. They gave us information about what happens next. And then they left. Emma and I sat in the living room in silence. The clock ticked. The house felt cold. Everything felt wrong. I kept thinking Daniel would walk through the door. He would laugh and say it was all a mistake. But he did not come. He never came. That night, I went to his room. I lay on his bed. I breathed in his smell. And I cried until there were no tears left. The days after Daniel died are a blur. People came to the house. They brought food. They said sorry. They cried with us. Emma's mother came and stayed for a few days. She helped plan the funeral. She made phone calls. She was practical and efficient. I could not do anything. I just sat. I stared at walls. I held Daniel's favorite sweater. Emma was different. She cried a lot, but she also got things done. She picked the casket. She chose the flowers. She wrote the obituary. She was strong in a way I could not be. I admired her for that. I thought maybe we would get through this together. I thought our shared grief would bring us closer. The funeral was hard, harder than anything I had ever experienced. Seeing my son's coffin, knowing he was inside, knowing I would never hear his voice again, never feel his hug, never see his smile. It felt impossible, wrong, against nature. I wanted to scream. I wanted to die too, but I just sat there, silent. Emma sat next to me. She held my hand. She cried into my shoulder. I thought we were connected in our pain. I thought we understood each other. After the service, people came back to the house. They ate the food. They told stories about Daniel. They laughed and cried. Emma played hostess. She thanked everyone for coming. She smiled weakly. She was gracious. I stayed in my room. I could not face people. I could not pretend to be okay. That night, after everyone left, Emma knocked on my door. She came in and sat on my bed. She said, "We need to talk about what happens now." I looked at her. Her eyes were red from crying, but there was something else there too, something hard. She said, "I know this is hard, but we need to be practical. This house, Daniel's insurance, his accounts. We need to figure things out." I nodded. I did not care about any of that. Money did not matter. Nothing mattered without Daniel. But I understood. Life goes on. Bills need to be paid. She said, "I will handle it. I will talk to the lawyer. I will sort everything out. You just rest." The next day, Emma was on the phone a lot. She was calling banks, insurance companies, Daniel's work. She was organized, efficient. I heard her talking about beneficiaries and policies, about mortgages and accounts. I tried not to listen. It felt wrong to talk about money so soon, but I understood it had to be done. That afternoon, Emma came to me again. She said, "Mom, I need to tell you something. Daniel's will, he left everything to me. The house, his savings, his life insurance, everything, because I am his wife." She paused. "Legally, this is my house now. I just thought you should know." I felt a cold wave wash over me. Not because I wanted Daniel's money. I did not care about that. But the way she said it, the tone, it felt like a warning, like she was establishing ownership. drawing a line. I nodded. I said, "Of course. You were his wife. It makes sense." She looked relieved. She said, "Good. I'm glad you understand. I just wanted to be clear." And she left. I sat there feeling strange, confused. Why did she need to tell me that now? Why did she need me to understand that everything belonged to her? Something felt off, but I pushed the feeling away. I told myself I was being sensitive, emotional, irrational. The next morning I woke up to strange sounds. I went to the living room. Emma was there with two men I did not know. They were looking at furniture, writing things down on clipboards. Emma saw me and said, "Oh, Mom, these are appraisers. I'm getting some things valued for insurance purposes." I nodded and went back to my room. But it felt weird. Why now? Why 3 days after the funeral? I made myself tea and sat by the window. I watched the rain. I thought about Daniel, about how much I missed him, about how lost I felt without him. That afternoon, Emma knocked on my door again. This time her face was different, harder, colder. She said, "We need to talk." She sat down but did not look at me. She said, "I have been thinking a lot about the future, about what I need to do to move forward. And I think—" She paused, took a breath. "I think it would be best if you found somewhere else to live. I need space. I need to grieve alone. I need to figure out my life without Daniel. And I cannot do that with you here." I felt like someone punched me in the stomach. I could not breathe. I stared at her. I said, "What?" She said, "I am sorry. I know this is hard, but I need you to leave. I will give you a few days to pack, but I need you to go." I asked, "Why? What did I do? Did I do something wrong?" She shook her head. "No, you did not do anything. I just cannot have you here. It is too hard. Seeing you reminds me of Daniel. Everything about you reminds me of him, and I cannot heal with you here." I wanted to say so many things. I wanted to scream, to beg, to ask her how she could do this to me, but I could not find words. My throat felt tight. My eyes burned. She stood up. She said, "I am sorry. I really am. But this is what I need." And she walked out. I sat there in shock, in disbelief, in a pain so deep it felt physical. I had just lost my son, and now I was losing my home. The home Daniel wanted me to have. The home where I felt close to him, where I could still smell him, still feel him. And Emma was taking that away from me. I stayed in my room for the rest of the day. I did not eat. I did not cry. I just sat, numb, empty. I heard Emma moving around the house, talking on the phone, laughing even. How could she laugh? How could she function? Her husband just died. My son just died. And she was making plans, moving forward, getting rid of me. I felt so confused, so hurt, so betrayed. I thought we were family. I thought she cared about me. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe she was just tolerating me for Daniel's sake. And now that he was gone, she did not have to pretend anymore. That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying Emma's words. "I need you to leave." Over and over. I thought about where I would go. I had my friend Margaret. We had been friends for 40 years. Maybe she would let me stay for a while. But Margaret lived in a tiny apartment. She had her own health problems. I did not want to burden her. I thought about renting a room somewhere, but with what money? I had some savings, but not much. Definitely not enough for first and last month's rent plus a deposit. I felt panic rising in my chest. I was 62 years old, widowed, grieving, homeless. How did my life become this? The next morning I started packing. I did not have much. Most of my furniture was still at my old house, sold or given away. I had my clothes, some books, photos, personal things. It all fit in 2 suitcases and 3 boxes. My whole life, reduced to this. Emma avoided me. She stayed in her room or left the house. We did not talk. The house felt like a tomb, cold, silent, empty. I packed slowly. Each item I put in the suitcase felt like another piece of my heart breaking. This was not how it was supposed to be. Daniel promised I would always have a home. He promised to take care of me. And he would have. If he were here, I would never be packing, never be leaving. But he was not here. On the third day I finished packing. I called Margaret. I told her what happened. She was shocked, angry on my behalf. She said, "That girl has some nerve. After everything you did for them, after everything Daniel wanted, she should be ashamed." Margaret said I could stay with her for a week or two while I figured things out. I was grateful, so grateful. I told Emma I would be leaving the next morning. She just nodded. She said, "Okay, thank you for understanding." Understanding? I did not understand at all, but I did not say that. I just nodded back. That last night in Daniel's house, I could not sleep. I walked through the rooms. I touched the walls. I looked at the photos on the mantel. Daniel as a baby, Daniel's graduation, Daniel and Emma's wedding. I stood in the kitchen where Daniel made breakfast every Sunday. I sat in his chair. I went to his room. I lay on his bed one last time. I breathed in, but his smell was already fading. Everything was fading. My son, my home, my life, all of it slipping away. I cried into his pillow. I whispered, "I am so sorry, baby. I am so sorry I could not stay in your house. I am so sorry I am not strong enough. I miss you so much. I love you, always." The morning I left was gray and cold. I woke up early. I got dressed. I carried my suitcases to the front door. Emma was in the kitchen. She did not help me. She did not say goodbye. She just watched me struggle with my bags. I wanted to say something, anything, but what was there to say? She wanted me gone, so I was going. I opened the door. The rain had started again, soft and steady. I looked back one more time. Emma was standing there with her coffee, her face blank. I wanted to see some emotion, some regret, some kindness, but there was nothing. Just emptiness. I walked out and closed the door behind me. Margaret met me at the bus stop. She hugged me tight. She took one of my suitcases. She said, "Come on, let's get you home." Her apartment was small but warm. She made up the couch for me. She made tea. She let me cry. She did not ask too many questions. She just sat with me, held my hand, let me talk when I was ready. I told her everything. About Emma, about the house, about how lost I felt. Margaret got angry. She said, "That girl is cruel. Daniel would be so disappointed in her. You should fight for your rights. You should talk to a lawyer." But I did not want to fight. I was too tired, too sad, too broken. I just wanted to survive, day by day, moment by moment. Margaret's apartment was cramped. I felt like I was in the way. She never said anything, but I knew. She had her routines, her life, and now I was disrupting it. I tried to be helpful. I cooked. I cleaned. I stayed out of her way as much as possible. But at night, lying on the couch, I felt so alone, so displaced, so unwanted. I missed Daniel with an ache that never went away. I missed my house, the house I shared with Robert. I missed my old life, before death, before grief, before Emma's cold eyes and colder words. A few days later, I got the text from Emma about the will reading. It was scheduled for the following Friday. I had almost forgotten about it. What was the point? Daniel left everything to Emma. She had made that clear. But I decided to go anyway. Maybe there would be some personal items, some letters, some small thing that Daniel wanted me to have, some piece of him I could hold on to. So on Friday morning, I borrowed Margaret's car. I drove to the lawyer's office. It was in a tall building downtown. The office was fancy. Leather chairs, dark wood, expensive art on the walls. Emma was already there when I arrived. She was sitting in the waiting area. She looked different. She was wearing a designer dress. Her hair was done. She had makeup on. She looked expensive, like she had money, like she was already spending Daniel's insurance. She barely glanced at me when I sat down. She said, "Hello," but did not smile. I said hello back. We sat in uncomfortable silence. I could hear the clock on the wall ticking. Each second felt like an hour. Finally, the lawyer's secretary called us in. We walked into a large office. The lawyer, Mr. Thompson, was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. He stood up and shook our hands. He said how sorry he was about Daniel. He offered his condolences. We sat down. Mr. Thompson opened a folder on his desk. He said, "Thank you both for coming. I know this is a difficult time, but we need to address Daniel's last will and testament. I prepared this will for Daniel about 6 months before his death. He was very specific about his wishes. I want to make sure we honor them." Emma nodded. She was sitting very straight, very formal. Mr. Thompson looked at me. He said, "Mrs. Morrison, Daniel talked about you often. He loved you very much. He wanted to make sure you were taken care of." I felt tears sting my eyes. Hearing Daniel's name, hearing about his love, it was too much. Mr. Thompson began reading the will. It started with the legal language, big words, complicated sentences. I tried to follow along, but my mind kept drifting. I kept thinking about Daniel, about how he sat in this office, how he made these decisions, how he thought about his death, about what would happen after. It must have been so hard for him, so scary. Mr. Thompson continued reading. He got to the part about Emma. He said, "To my beloved wife, Emma Morrison, I leave my personal savings account containing approximately $15,000. Emma's face changed. She looked confused. She said, "Wait, what? What about everything else? The house, the life insurance, the retirement accounts?" Mr. Thompson looked at Emma over his reading glasses. He said, "I am getting to that, Mrs. Morrison. Please let me continue." Emma sat back, but her face was red. Her hands were gripping the arms of the chair. Mr. Thompson read on. "My house, located at 47A2 Maple Street, I leave to my mother, Patricia Morrison, to be her home for as long as she lives. Upon her death, the house will be sold and the proceeds donated to charity." I gasped. I could not help it. The house? Daniel left me the house? Mr. Thompson continued. "My life insurance policy, totaling $500,000, I leave to my mother, Patricia Morrison, to ensure she is financially secure for the rest of her life." The room went silent. Emma's face went from red to white. She looked like she might be sick. She said, No, that is not right. He told me I would get everything. He promised me." Mr. Thompson said calmly, "Mrs. Morrison, this is a legal document, witnessed and notarized. Daniel made these decisions of his own free will. I counseled him on them. He was very clear about what he wanted." Emma stood up. She started pacing. She said, "This cannot be real. He would not do this to me. I am his wife. His wife. I should get everything. This is wrong. This has to be wrong." Mr. Thompson remained calm. He said, "I understand this is upsetting, but the will is valid. Daniel also left a letter. He asked me to read it aloud if there were any disputes." Emma stopped pacing. She stared at him. Mr. Thompson took out an envelope. He opened it carefully. He pulled out a handwritten letter. I recognized Daniel's handwriting immediately. My heart started racing. Mr. Thompson began to read. "Dear Mom and Emma, if you are hearing this, It means I am gone. I am so sorry. I never wanted to leave you. But I need you both to understand why I made the decisions I did. The letter continued. Emma, I love you. I do. But over the past year, I have seen changes in you that worry me. I have seen how you treat my mother, how you have become cold to her, how you have made her feel unwanted in our home. I have heard you on the phone with your friends talking about when my mother would finally leave, talking about how much money I make, talking about our life insurance. It broke my heart. I wanted to believe you loved me for me, but I started to doubt. So I made provisions. I made sure my mother would be taken care of, because she gave up everything for me. She has sacrificed her whole life for me, and she deserves security. Emma's face went pale. She sat down hard. She was shaking. Mr. Thompson kept reading. Mom, I am sorry I did not tell you about this. I did not want you to worry. I did not want you to feel caught in the middle. But I need you to know that house is yours. Always has been. Always will be. I bought it thinking you would live there forever, that you would have a home. Emma knew this. I told her when we got married that you would always come first, that you would always have a place with us. She agreed, but she did not keep that promise. So I am making sure you are protected. I love you, Mom. Take care of yourself. Be happy. Live a full life. I will always be with you. Always. Love, Daniel. I was crying, sobbing. My whole body shook. Daniel knew. He knew Emma wanted me gone. He knew she was just waiting, and he protected me. Even in death, my son protected me. Mr. Thompson set down the letter. He said gently, Mrs. Morrison, Patricia, the house is legally yours. All the paperwork is in order. You can move back in whenever you are ready. Emma has 30 days to vacate the premises. Emma jumped up. She screamed, 30 days? You are kicking me out? Where am I supposed to go? Mr. Thompson said, You have the $15,000 Daniel left you, and I believe you have family you can stay with. But yes, legally, you must leave Patricia's house. Emma turned to me. Her eyes were wild. She said, You planned this. You turned him against me. You poisoned him against me. You took everything from me. I shook my head. I said quietly, I did not do anything. I did not even know about this. But Emma was not listening. She grabbed her purse. She stormed toward the door. She turned back one more time. She said, You will regret this. I will fight this will. I will prove Daniel was not in his right mind. You have not heard the last of me. And she slammed the door so hard the walls shook. Mr. Thompson sighed. He said, I'm sorry you had to hear that. But Mrs. Morrison, legally, there is nothing she can do. The will is solid. Daniel made sure of it. He anticipated this might happen. He documented everything. He even had me draft a letter explaining his reasoning. The will is ironclad. The house is yours. The money is yours. Daniel wanted you to be safe, and now you are. I could not speak. I just sat there crying. Mr. Thompson handed me tissues. He gave me time. After a while, he walked me through the paperwork. He explained the process. He gave me keys to the house. My house. Daniel's house. Our house. I sat in Margaret's borrowed car in the parking lot for a long time. I held the keys in my hand. I stared at them. House keys to my home, the home my son bought, the home he wanted me to have. I could not believe it. It felt like a dream, like I would wake up and it would all disappear. But the keys were real, heavy, cold, real. I finally started the car. I drove slowly, carefully. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. I pulled up to the house at 4782 Maple Street. Daniel's car was still in the driveway. Emma's car was gone. I parked. I sat there looking at the house. It looked the same. Same blue shutters, same red door, same flower beds that Daniel planted. But everything was different. Everything had changed. I got out of the car. I walked up the driveway. My feet felt heavy. Each step was hard. I reached the front door. I put the key in the lock. It turned. I pushed the door open. The house was quiet, empty. I stepped inside. It smelled like home, like Daniel's cologne, like the candles Emma used to burn, like coffee and laundry detergent and life. I closed the door behind me. I stood in the hallway. I looked around. Everything was still there. The furniture, the pictures, Daniel's jacket still hanging on the hook. I touched it. I brought it to my face. I could still smell him. Faintly, but he was there. I walked through the house slowly. The living room, the kitchen. Daniel's favorite coffee mug was still on the counter. I picked it up. I held it. I remembered making him coffee, watching him read the paper, talking about our days. I went upstairs, to Daniel's bedroom. The bed was unmade. Emma must have left in a hurry. I sat on the bed. I looked around, at the photos on the nightstand. Daniel and Emma on their wedding day. Daniel and me at his college graduation. Daniel as a little boy with Robert. My family. My beautiful family. Most of them gone now. But their love remained, in this house, in these rooms, in my heart. I cried for a long time. I cried for Daniel, for Robert, for the life we had, for the life we lost. But I also felt something else, something I had not felt in weeks. Relief, safety, home. I was home. Daniel made sure I had a home. He thought about me. He protected me. He loved me. Even in death. Even knowing he would not be there. He made sure I would be okay. That is love. Real, deep, sacrificial love. The kind of love a child has for their parent. The kind of love that does not end, that does not die, that lives on in actions and choices and wills and houses and keys. Over the next few days, I moved back in properly. Margaret helped me. She drove me to her apartment. We got my suitcases and boxes. We brought them back to the house. I unpacked slowly. I put my clothes in the closet, my books on the shelf, my photos on the dresser. I was reclaiming this space, making it mine, but also honoring Daniel's memory. This was our home now, together, me and his memory. A few days later, movers came, Emma's things. She had hired movers to pack up her belongings. She did not come herself, just sent strangers to take her life away in boxes. I stayed out of their way. I watched from the window, boxes and boxes of stuff, furniture, clothes, kitchen things, all of it going into a truck, driving away. And then she was gone. Emma was gone from this house, forever. I thought I would feel happy, vindicated. But I just felt sad. Sad for Daniel. Sad that his marriage was not what he hoped. Sad that Emma turned out to be someone different than he thought. Sad that everything ended this way. But I also felt grateful. Grateful that Daniel was wise, that he saw the truth, that he protected me, that he made sure I would not be homeless and helpless and lost. My son saved me. One last time, after death, from beyond the grave. He saved me. I established new routines. I got up early. I made coffee. I sat in Daniel's chair and watched the sun rise. I tended to his garden. I watered the plants he loved. I talked to him sometimes, out loud. I told him about my day. I told him I was okay. I told him I loved him. I told him thank you. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for being the best son a mother could ask for. I felt him with me, in the quiet moments, in the sunshine through the kitchen window, in the sound of the wind in the oak tree. He was there, always there. Margaret visited often. She brought meals. We watched movies. We talked for hours. She said I seemed lighter, happier, more at peace. I told her I was, as peaceful as someone grieving can be, but I was home, and that made all the difference. Some of Daniel's friends came by. They brought stories and laughter and love. They sat in the living room and shared memories. We cried and laughed together. It was healing, painful, but healing. The house felt alive again, full of love, full of Daniel's spirit. A few weeks later, I got a letter from Emma's lawyer. She was contesting the will, just like she threatened. She claimed Daniel was under undue influence, that he was not mentally competent, that I manipulated him. I called Mr. Thompson. He said not to worry. He said she had no case. Daniel documented everything. He was clear and competent. He made his choices freely. The will would stand, and it did. A few months later, the case was dismissed. Emma's challenge was thrown out. The judge ruled in my favor. The house was legally, irrevocably mine. Emma could not touch it, could not take it away. It was over. I never heard from Emma again. I heard through friends that she moved to another city, that she remarried within a year, that she was pregnant. I felt nothing when I heard that. Not anger, not jealousy, just nothing. She was part of my past, part of Daniel's past, but not part of my future. I hoped she found happiness. I hoped she learned something from all of this. But mostly, I just did not think about her. I had my own life to live, my own healing to do, my own journey forward. It has been 2 years now since Daniel died. 2 years since that terrible day. 2 years since my world fell apart. And slowly, carefully, painfully, I have put the pieces back together. Not the same way. They will never fit the same way. The shape of my life is different now, but I am whole again, differently whole. I still miss Daniel every single day, every single moment. I see him in everything, in the morning light, in the smell of coffee, in the sound of laughter. He is everywhere and nowhere, both alive in my heart and gone from this world. It is a pain I have learned to carry, a weight I have learned to bear, but I have also found joy again. Small joys, simple joys, the joy of my garden blooming, the joy of a good book, the joy of friends visiting, the joy of a quiet morning, the joy of being home. Daniel gave me that. He gave me the ability to find joy again, because he gave me security. He gave me a home. He gave me the foundation to rebuild my life. And I am so grateful, so deeply, endlessly grateful. I have learned a lot in these 2 years. About grief, about love, about family, about what really matters. I learned that family is not always blood. Sometimes family is the people who show up, who sit with you in the dark, who hold your hand, who bring you tea, who make you laugh when you think you will never laugh again. Margaret is family. Daniel's friends are family. The kind neighbor who checks on me, they are family. Emma was not family. She was legally family, but she did not have the heart of family, and that is okay. Not everyone who comes into our life is meant to stay. Some people are lessons, some people are chapters that end, and we have to be okay with that. I learned that grief changes you. It makes you someone new, someone you do not recognize at first, someone sad and broken and lost. But slowly, slowly, that new person becomes familiar. You learn who you are after loss. You learn what you are made of. You learn that you are stronger than you thought, that you can survive things you never imagined surviving, that the human heart has an incredible capacity to break and heal again, over and over, forever. I learned that love does not die. Robert died, Daniel died, but their love did not die. It lives in me, in my memories, in the way I see the world, in the values I hold, in the choices I make. They shaped me. They loved me. and that love is eternal. It does not need their physical presence to exist. It exists in me, in how I live, in how I love others. They are gone, but they are not lost. Never lost. Always with me. I learned to forgive. I forgave Emma. Not because she deserved it, not because she asked for it, but because holding on to anger was hurting me more than it was hurting her. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It is for you. It is letting go of the weight, letting go of the bitterness, letting go of the pain that comes from replaying the hurt over and over. I forgave her, and I felt lighter, freer, more at peace. She made her choices. She has to live with them. But I do not have to carry them anymore. I learned that sometimes the people we love protect us in ways we do not see. Daniel protected me. He saw what I could not see. He made provisions. He planned. He loved me so much that he thought about what would happen after he was gone. That is extraordinary. That is the kind of love most people only dream of, and I had it. I had a son who loved me that much, who put me first, who made sure I would be safe. What a gift. What an incredible, precious gift. Now I live in this house, Daniel's house, my house, our house. I take care of it. I keep it clean and warm and full of light. I have turned the spare bedroom into a guest room. Friends stay over sometimes. The walls are filled with photos of Robert, of Daniel, of our life together. I walk past them every day. I smile at them. I say good morning. I say good night. I keep them close. I honor their memory by living, by choosing joy when I can, by being kind, by helping others, by being the person they raised me to be, the person they would be proud of. I volunteer now at a local hospice. I sit with people who are dying. I hold their hands. I listen to their stories. I help their families navigate their grief. I give back because people gave to me. Margaret gave to me. Daniel gave to me. So many people held me up when I could not stand. Now I hold others up. I share what I learned. I share hope. I share the truth that grief is love with nowhere to go, and that is okay. We find new places for that love. We find new ways to express it. We find new people to love, and we keep going. We keep living, because that is what our loved ones would want. They would want us to live fully, beautifully, bravely. On difficult days, and there are still difficult days, I go to Daniel's room. I sit on his bed. I hold his favorite sweater. I close my eyes, and I feel him. I hear his voice. I love you, Mom. I love you more, always. And I whisper back, I love you too, baby, always, forever, until we meet again. And I believe we will. I believe death is not the end, just a different room in the same house, just a different chapter in the same story. I believe I will see my son again. I will hug him. I will tell him how proud I am, how grateful, how his love saved me, how his wisdom protected me, how he is my greatest gift, my greatest love, my greatest blessing. To anyone reading this or hearing this, to anyone going through their own grief, their own loss, their own heartbreak, I want to tell you this. You will survive. You do not believe it now. I did not believe it either, but you will. You will survive because you have to, because your loved ones would want you to, because there is still beauty in this world, still love, still moments of grace, still reasons to wake up in the morning. You will find a new normal, a new life, a new version of yourself, and that is okay. It does not mean you love them less. It does not mean you have forgotten. It means you are honoring them by living, by choosing life, by choosing hope. And if you are dealing with people who hurt you, people who betray you, people who show their true colors in your darkest moments, remember this. Forgive them not for them, but for you. Let go of the anger. It only poisons your own heart. Trust that truth always comes out. Trust that people get what they deserve eventually. Trust that the universe has a way of balancing things out. And most importantly, trust that you deserve better. You deserve kindness. You deserve respect. You deserve love. Do not accept less. Do not settle. Do not let people make you feel small or unwanted or unloved. You are worthy, just as you are. I sit here now in my living room. The sun is setting. The house is quiet. But it is a good quiet, a peaceful quiet. I have a cup of tea. I have my memories. I have my home. I have my life. It is not the life I planned. It is not the life I wanted. But it is my life. And it is enough. More than enough. I am grateful. For the years I had with Robert. For the years I had with Daniel. For the love we shared. For the memories we made. For the lessons they taught me. For the home they gave me. For the life they made possible. I am grateful, and I am at peace. Daniel, my sweet boy, if you can hear me, know this. You did good. You protected your mom. You loved me well. You made me proud every single day of your life. And even in death, you are still making me proud, still taking care of me, still loving me. Thank you, baby. Thank you for being mine. Thank you for the gift of being your mother. It was the greatest honor of my life. I love you. I love you more. Always. This is my story. A story of loss and grief and betrayal and love and protection and home. A story that is both heartbreaking and hopeful. A story that is real, that is human, that is life. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sitting with me through this. Thank you for letting me share my boy with you. May you find peace in your own journey. May you find home in your own heart. May you know deeply and truly that you are loved, that you matter, that your story matters, always.